Brenda High knows all too well the horror and pain of losing a child to bullying. She's the author of Bullycide in America. Welcome to the show, Brenda.
Thank you.
You know, my heart goes out to you. I mean, there's nothing worse than losing a child, and losing a child under those circumstances where you know you were there to see the torment, the fact that your child was being bullied all the time. It's got to be even exceptionally painful above and beyond having lost a child to begin with. So when was it that you first learned that Jared, your son, was being bullied?
Well, it was in about March of 1998. He had become the coach's assistant, and he'd start coming home and he would tell me stories about how kids were spitting on him and chasing him and stealing things from him.
These are the players of what kind of team? This
was the 8th grade baseball team.
And he was a coach's assistant for the baseball team?
Yes, he was.
And it was the baseball players that were doing this?
Yes.
Okay. And how was he reacting to that?
He was pretty upset, especially when they'd steal things like his prized baseball mitt and you know, stuff out of his backpack. But it's sad to say, I'm like a lot of parents. I said things to him like, well, I'm sure everything will be fine, you know, let's maybe tell somebody, you know, see if we can get the situation taken care of. But I really didn't think it was serious at the time.
Right. And how long did that go on for?
Well, that went on for the entire baseball season until the last, almost the last practice, last game of the season, when the main bully, an 8th grader, and my son was a 6th grader, followed my son into the school, into the gym, and beat the living tar out of him at that time.
Did the school do anything?
They called it a fight, and they kicked both of them out of school for 3 days.
Tell me about the last day that you saw Jared.
The last day that he was alive?
Yes.
We had actually put him into a new school district because the old one, we figured, didn't care. And so we put him in a new school. So he'd been there less than 3 weeks, and he had been having some issues with concentration, which is one of the things that I would tell people to watch for. But he decided he just didn't want to go to school that day because he hadn't done his homework.
Was there anything in particular that he was bullied about?
No, you know, it's just that he was a good target. He was younger than them, he was smaller, and he was a 6th grader, and they only had one 6th grader there, and that was the person that would help the coach.
So on this particular day, you were talking to him, and he didn't. Is that a picture of Jared?
Yes, this is a picture of Jared.
A handsome boy. On that particular day, he was upset because he hadn't done his homework, and what happened? He didn't want to go to school.
Right. Obviously, he had some depression. And that morning, he just hardly would talk to me. He said he didn't want to go to school. And so I'm calling my husband back and forth on the phone saying, we need to get him some help because this is not normal. He's, you know, this is not normal for him not to talk to me. And he went outside at one point and climbed up the tree in the backyard. And I went outside and climbed up the tree as far as I could get. And I said to him, Jared, it's okay, you know, whatever the schoolwork requires, we'll work it out with the counselors, and you won't have to do it for a while until we can, you know, kind of get you through this. I just assumed everything was the homework, you know, the stress of doing homework. And he wouldn't talk to me, but at that time I did have a chance to tell him, hey, you know, I love you, we'll work this out. I'm so glad that I had that time in the tree, you know. But anyway, I had to go to work.
What happened after that?
Well, my husband's actually looking at the benefits package from work to see about mental health help, you know, to get counseling and therapy. And I left for work, and Jared came into the house, and he went in my office, and he picked up the phone, and he called my husband at work, and he said, Dad, I just called to say goodbye. And then he shot himself while he was on the phone with my husband.
I'm so sorry. And he was how old at the time?
He was 13 and 6 days old.
And how long ago was that?
That was over 12 years ago.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That's the worst tragedy that any parent can ever imagine. And I know it's 12 years later, just telling me the story, your eyes are welling up. You know, my mother lost 2 children, and over time, you heal, but you never heal completely. And I know how difficult it is for you and your husband. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We're back with Brenda, Denise, and Antoine, and we're talking about different bullying experiences that you or your children have had in the past. And Brenda, since your son passed away, you've been very active in the area of bullying. Can you tell me about that? I know at least you wrote the book that I mentioned before, Bullicide. Is this my copy, by the way?
Yes.
I saw his autographed. I appreciate that. Bullicide in America. Moms speak out about the bullying-suicide connection. So that's a very important work you did there. What else have you been doing?
Well, actually, the first thing I did was just try to heal from my loss. So I started a personal website, a healing website. And then during the process of litigation, a lawsuit against our school district for wrongful death, we found that the teachers and administrators didn't have a clue what to do. There was no policies, procedures, rules, nothing. And so...
And this was in which state?
This is in the state of Washington.
Washington, okay.
And so they had tried to get an anti-bullying law passed in 2001, and it didn't even get through the first initial phase of testimonies. So the second year, I was asked to come testify at the Education Committee at the House in Washington State. And so I came and I worked with Democrats, Republicans, and we got that passed sailed right through the committee, got passed in the House, the Senate, and signed by the governor in 2002.
So you were instrumental in getting legislature passed in the anti-bullying area for the state of Washington.
Yes, I was instrumental. I wasn't the only one trying to get it passed. On the way home, actually, I decided that I needed to go further than the state of Washington because I had made a lot of friends through the years, and a few of them had lost kids to what I call bullycide. And so we gathered kind of a group of people to get started a website that kind of educated people about bullying and harassment and getting the state laws passed. So we started out with about 8 laws that were passed in 2002, and then from up till today, we now have 45 states that have anti-bullying laws passed.
Good for you. And what advice would you give to a parent with the experience and now having worked on all these bullying laws? What advice would you give to a parent who is in the situation you found yourself in, with a child who's saying, I'm being picked on in school, I'm being bullied in school?
Well, if the child comes to me, or if a child came to me, you know, if I could do it all over again, I would really take it seriously the first time they mentioned it. And I would go and sit down with the teachers and administrators of that school, and I would say, what kind of a school are we going to have? Are we going to have a school where bullies can run rampant? Or are we going to have a school where it's win-win? Not only do the kids that are victimized get help, but the bullies get help. Because the reason that bullies bully is because they can. That's as simple as can be. And why can they bully? Because there's adults that are letting them bully.
Right.
You know, you got to go to the root of the problem. They say bullying is a child's problem. It's a really horrible child's problem, but I say it's an adult problem. Yeah. Adults aren't doing their job. Right. And the adults that are in charge are the people at school.
That is so true. I always think of it as a chain. You know, if the link is broken in this chain, you're not going to end the problem. You need to have children who are willing to tell their parents, who are willing to tell the teachers and report the incident. You need to have teachers and parents who are going to act on it and not just blow it off as something inconsequential. Friends who are going to report it when they see bullying happening if the victim won't, instead of standing around and cheering. And if you have all those things, it comes to an end. It really does. Now, what are the warning signs that parents should look for in their children?
Well, in the case of our son, lack of being able to concentrate, sleep patterns might be messed up. They might sleep a lot during the day. They might sleep nothing at night.
Typical signs of depression.
Yeah, signs of depression. In fact, just look it up on the internet. Find out what the signs of depression are, but put it down for kids level because kids react a little bit differently. They might be, for instance, interested in jumping on the trampoline and all of a sudden they're not. Maybe they played on the internet a lot and now they're not.
Did your son do that? Did he stay away from the activities? Like, did he have games he used to play or activities he used to do that all of a sudden he just wasn't interested in anymore?
Yeah, in fact, he was like a champion trampoline jumper. He was really good at that, but he didn't all summer after he was assaulted. And in fact, he would play on the computer gaming with my older son and his friends, and after that he just stopped doing that.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Welcome back. When we left off, we were talking about signs for children who are going through bullying, what parents should look for, and things of that nature. And Brenda, you are aware of Denise's situation with Ezekiel, and he's at the age that Antoine was at when Antoine started getting bullied. The difference being, of course, that his school is actually taking steps to correct it and prevent it. With your experience and your knowledge of the subject, of course, because you've now become an expert on this topic over the years, what advice would you give to Denise from this point going forward?
Well, Denise, first of all, you are extremely lucky because your school wants to work.
Yeah, I'm
with
blessed.
The situation.
They're
So,
great.
because of that, it's going to be a little bit easier. But I'm going to ask you to practice with your son doing some verbal bantering back and forth. So instead of him hitting or shoving or getting angry, verbally, you're going to teach him how, when he's being bullied, harassed, you're going to teach him how to take the stance. He stands back, puts his hands behind his back, and he yells, "Leave me alone, I'm sick and tired of this." And he does it very loud, and you have to practice that with his hands behind his back because when people turn to look, because it's like a car accident, nobody sees the car accident, they always hear the noise, and then they turn to look. So when they hear him yell, "Leave me alone, I'm sick and tired of this," then they'll turn and look and see what's going on. Now the teacher's responsibility at that point, and the adults that are around, they see what's going on, they see it's happening, they're to deal with this situation with the bully. They need to talk to that bully and find out why the bully is acting this way, and that will give him a voice without having bad words come out, but you practice with him on that. And I brought a little bracelet. It's called Do Unto Others. And it's just something, it's a small one for small kids.
Oh, cool.
And what you do is he takes this and he gives it to his classroom, his friends at the school, and he says, "I am going to work on this problem. I am going to do unto others, and I hope that you will too." And he gives them this bracelet. And it kind of sets the atmosphere in the classroom, and hopefully the whole school will start doing that. And they'll defend each other when they see something happening. None of the kids should deal with the bullies. That's not their job. The adults need to deal with the bullies. But he can help other kids that are being bullied. He can go get them out of there. Just like a car's coming down the road, he can go, take them out of there. Don't confront the car, he'll get run over. Just get out of there, take the victim out, and be the hero for that other child. And it's a much better feeling to be a hero than a bully.
That's great advice.
That's actually great advice. I've read about some statistics dealing with children who are victims of bullying and what's successful and what isn't successful. One of the things they consistently say, the kids speaking back to the bully, just saying, stop, don't do this anymore, and in a loud voice, even their posture.
That's what they're doing with Ezekiel at
is
school.
apparently incredibly effective. Antoine, what advice do you have for children Ezekiel's age or other kids who might find themselves, even older, going through the same thing you went through?
Basically, I would tell kids to just speak out. Tell the adult, tell the teacher, tell the principal, tell whoever you need to tell, because someone will stop and listen, and you will get help.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having all of you here to contribute to this topic, this hot topic. Those who think bullying is a matter of kids being kids are sadly mistaken. That time has long passed, if it ever existed. Last fall, Seth Walsh from California and Asher Brown from Texas, both 13 years old, committed suicide after continuous bullying by a group of boys. Bullying has taken on a totally new dimension with often tragic consequences. And with the growth of the internet, we've seen a dramatic rise in the emotional torment of cyberbullying. But if we band together, there's no reason our children can't feel safe at school. If you're being bullied, tell a trusted teacher and tell your parents. Don't suffer in silence or go it alone. If you're a parent, just a 5-minute conversation with your kids each day will let you know if there seems to be something wrong. And if they're being bullied, don't brush it aside. If you're a teacher and a child comes to you for help, don't let them down. I know you would have hated to have been approached by Seth or by Asher and have done nothing to prevent those tragedies. I'd like to thank my guests for joining me in this special session of Judge Alex. The problem of bullying can't be solved in a day. But my hope is that we've shed some light on this all too often silent topic that leaves many victims in its wake. More information is available at stopbullyingnow.hrsa.gov. Thank you for watching.